you know that. But these young men were taken to this camp, and they were at this camp because it was it's a way of a diversion, kind of like what I do with this program. And honestly, what my vision is, maybe later on, for not only men and women, but even younger people, just getting us out of the environment that we're in, because oftentimes our environment is what keeps us in this cycle of making these big mistakes. So let me go ahead and read a little bit from the book, and we're gonna go in and get into our information. All right, so this is in chapter 6. The guys are whisked off to this camp, and they're hearing from the person who runs the camp. Good morning, fellas. My name is Jay. You've been selected to be a part of the special program, the CycleBreaker camp. And now, of course, I'm going to kind of breeze through it, so I'm not reading every word. You will spend time here while awaiting the determination of your individual case. So they were at this camp waiting to find out what their case was going to be about, whether or not they were going to get a conviction, a plea, what type of sentence. So they were taken away from their normal environment. And just not acknowledging from this particular situation, just like all of us, they are in different scenarios. Some people may have, you know, a great family environment. Most of us have broken family environments, things that aren't perfect. So you put all these people together with these different dynamics throughout the book, you'll see what they're dealing with and how they have to struggle through that. Let me make sure I got everybody muted necessarily. I think we're good. All right, so here's something I want you to consider. This is not for your homework, but this is something that the book talks about. The question is, what is a seeker? Now, throughout this book, we talk about seekers. We talk about those who are seekers versus, you know, we'll see a little later. You have watchers. You have all these different categories of people. But let me tell you exactly what a seeker is so we can go on the same page.
You said that wasn't one of our questions?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Because I'm going to give you the answer.
Okay.
But when the questions come up, I got this area that I have exactly stated for your question. So a seeker is a person who is on the path of self-discovery. So think about it. If you are a seeker, that's because you're trying to seek a different way of life, a different way of interpreting things, maybe a different way of reacting to the situations that you deal with every single day. So for me, and what we try to do here in the court, and what my mission is to make sure that I remain a seeker and that we all do. Because the bottom line is you can't improve unless you're seeking to improve. So don't get caught up so much in the term seeker, but it's more so talking about a person who wants to find out or wants to explore a better way of living, a better way of thinking, or a better way of acting. So that's what a seeker is. So again, based on the definition here, a seeker is a person who is on a path of self-discovery. The path will lead to an inner analysis and an outer evaluation of the destination of enlightenment. So look at this. If you are ever looking to change any of the things that goes on in your life, the first step, obviously, is to look within. And see, the problem is many of us, we don't want to look within. We don't want to analyze, okay, what is it that made me go off in this store? What is it that made me, you know, lash out at the person I live with, so now I'm dealing with a domestic violence situation? Or what is it that made me steal? Whatever it is, every situation that we find ourselves in, there is a way to analyze how we got there. The problem is none of us really want to do it. We don't want to take the time to analyze how we got there because that may not be the most comfortable thing to do. So the truth of the matter is we are all seekers, and we will all be seekers until we reach enlightenment, right? So here I go with this whole enlightenment thing. What that basically means, let me take away all the, you know, big words and all that stuff. Basically, I'm saying at some point, we're all going to be gone from here, right? All of us. The question is, when that happens, will we be at a higher state of understanding? Will we be able to look back and say, at our last minute of your last day, will you be able to look back and say, you know what? I lived my life the way I was supposed to live my life. I left a legacy of love. I did the best I could. And the people that I'm leaving behind will have something positive to say about. And that's what I'm talking about when you reach enlightenment. Now, a whole nother level of that is if you believe in a higher being, whether it's God or whatever you believe in, once you reach the point where you're in the presence of that other being, that heavenly being, obviously at that point, we know what's going on. You know what earth was about. You know what this world was about. But until then, we are all seekers. So with this point in the book, what I am hoping that we do is that we all just make the commitment right now, no matter what situation you're in, that you're always seeking to improve yourself. that you're always seeking to say, you know what, I didn't react to that situation the way I wanted to. And the great thing about it, I tell you this every time I do this class, I am no different than you. I have a title because I did certain things. I took certain steps to get this title, but I'm a human being. I have to really analyze some of the things I do. You know, whether it's how I react to somebody in Walmart or how I react to somebody on the phone. I mean, every day we are tested. So don't think that it's some higher power that allows you to do it. It's just simply, I've decided to do it because that's what I want to do. And that's what I'm submitting to you, that we can all be seekers. We can always get better. All right, the next page. Now, Ms. Sherrick, here you go. These are some questions that we are going to consider. So take a screenshot of this, because when you email me tonight, or whenever you email me, this is what I want you to think about. Questions for you to consider. What role does environment play in your actions? Your environment. What role does your environment play in your actions, the things you do? What role does your environment play in your reactions? So you know there are two things. There's an action, something that you decide to do, and then there's a way that we react to certain things. What role does your environment play in your reactions? And then, what role does environment play in your success? So if you want to be successful, if there's certain things that you want to do, I want you to tell me when you analyze these questions, when you send them to me, what does your environment have to do with it? Maybe you'll say it has nothing to do with it. But if you believe it does, then tell me that too. So those are the questions. So again, make sure you screenshot that. Hopefully everybody has it, and let me move on to the next one. All right, so we're moving back to the book. Now, I'm just gonna read you, and like I said, I'm not gonna read every word because I wanna get through this. One of the purposes of the CycleBreaker camp is to provide a cocoon for seekers. Again, we're talking about seekers are people who want to improve. It's considered a cocoon because while at the camp, the seekers were away from the pressures of their everyday life. Most importantly, these guys were away from their negative environment. So this is where we're gonna spend time tonight in this session. We're talking about the fact that sometimes you have to put yourself in a cocoon. Basically, you are building, surrounding yourself with so much silence, so much peace that your environment doesn't matter. So I used to call it, being kind of pushing yourself into a closet or something like that. But the bottom line is, when you are trying to reach another level of success or another level of understanding, you are going to have to make the decision about who you have to eliminate from your life, what environments you have to eliminate from your life. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to stop, smoking weed all the time, you can't go over to the place where they're smoking weed. If you're trying not to, drink in excess or things like that, you can't go to the bar. Or, if you're a brother, and I'm just speaking to men, and you're trying to be faithful to your girlfriend or your wife and your family, and if you know that you're tempted by strippers and all that type of stuff, you can't go to strip clubs. So the key is, when you're trying to build your future and be successful, you have to determine, what do you have to eliminate from your life? What do you have to shield yourself from so that you can be successful? So that's what we're talking about. All right. We live in a generation where there are a mix between watchers and seekers. Okay, so I told you the first group of people that we identified in this particular camp and in this scenario are seekers, those who are trying to improve their lives. A next group that I identified are those who I call watchers. Watchers are those who spend their precious time living their lives through the lives of others. Kind of like what we do on social media, right? How many of us, and I'm gonna speak for me too, how many of us find ourselves scrolling social media for 5 minutes, turns into 10 minutes, turns into a half an hour. Next thing you know, you done spent an hour or more just watching other people's lives. Now, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you are giving equal time to you taking care of your business. So for me, even though I'm tempted to scroll and all that stuff, I try to make sure I'm doing something else. So if fitness is important to me, like working out or doing some cardio, if I'm gonna scroll on social media or watch some movies, I get on a bike or something like that. Because I'm trying to tell myself, if I'm gonna watch Nicole's life all day long, let me make sure I'm doing something to build up my life. So that's the difference. You have seekers, those who are trying to improve their lives, those who are dedicated to taking it to the next level, and you have watchers. All right. Now here's something that we're gonna have for the homework. What does it mean? And this is something I want you to screenshot. What does it mean that you will develop your life or development happens in a cocoon? Now, I just gave you that answer. So when you send me this email, this is almost like a present to you because I gave you the answer. What does it mean that you can develop in a cocoon, that development happens in the cocoon? So take a screenshot of that. Hold on one second, let me check something real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, and then we go to the next one. All right, so you see all these words. I'm not gonna read all this, but let me tell you what this is talking about. So in this book, in this section, we're talking about how your environment can either be the key to your success or it can keep you stagnant. If you are hanging with the same people, doing the same thing, if their conversations are not about being better or getting better, then you notice that you stay in the same environment, you staying in the same cycle, so you sometimes have to separate. So in this part of the book, what I'm talking about is actually a real life story. And it's a story of these tribes, these men who lived in a tribe. They were isolated from the rest of the world. The men in the tribe would wake up every day and run 40 miles to deliver messages to other tribes. So think of it, all of us know the stories. Back in the day, none of us had cars, right? And if you take it all the way back to Africa and things like that, they definitely didn't have those types of transportation. So in this particular tribe, in this particular area, they would get up every day and run 40 miles just to deliver a message to the other tribes in the surrounding areas. Now, as the men got older, they could actually run faster, longer, and further than the young men. And so when researchers came and found out this was going on, they were amazed. They were like, how could this be? It went against everything that we think of. The older you get, maybe the slower you get, or something like that. So basically what happened was they were talking to these men and they came to understand that, and the tribesmen told them, basically we do this because we can. Nobody told them that they can't. Nobody told them that running 40 miles to another tribe to give them information was impossible. Nobody told them it was crazy. Nobody told them they should just sit down and do what they've been doing. And then, even more importantly and more impressively, when the men got older, nobody told them that they couldn't do it. So what that means to me and you is that your environment is going to tell you oftentimes what you can and cannot do. And we are all victims of believing it. And sometimes that starts as early as our moms and our dads. They'll tell us something that we can't do, or they'll give us an ideal in our heads or a limitation, and we grow with that. But the beautiful thing about being an adult and about being a cycle breaker is that at any point you can decide that that's not the life you want. You can decide, you know what? I know they've been telling me I can't get a good job, or I'll never find a good man, or all men are garbage, or I can't trust women. Whatever it is, it don't have to be major. Whatever it is that's holding you back from achieving what you want to achieve, living the life that you want to live, or having the things you want to have, you have to throw it to the side. Don't let nobody tell you can't have it. If you've been in relationship after relationship and they've been terrible, don't let nobody tell you that's what you deserve and you're not gonna get anything better, because you can. But first, it takes us switching our mindset. So that's why this is so important when we talk about our environment. All right. Next part was the benefit of being in the cocoon. The cocoon allows you to develop without interruption and without distractions. So I'm gonna talk about some distractions in a minute, but let me get to the last question. So I want you to screenshot this. So the first page that you did the screenshot are the questions to consider. I think it was just one, maybe, no, it's 4. And here are the last ones. So think about your environment. In your environment, is there regular arguing going on in your environment? The answer is going to be yes or no. Is there physical violence going on in your environment? Is there mental violence going on in your environment? Is exercise promoted in your environment? Or what about healthy eating? See, all of these things seem very minor if you take them outside and look at them one by one, but when you put them all together and start to understand that, man, maybe this is the reason why I act the way I act. Because in my environment, everybody's arguing every day, all day. So when I confront someone in the store that I feel is disrespecting me, I'm gonna argue. Or when a police officer comes up on me, I'm gonna argue with him or her because that's what I do, and they have to respect me. Then the next one, physical violence. Again, we may get so used to that we think it's no big deal. But in your environment, I just want you to be honest, yes or no, are you used to seeing people put their hands on other people? You know, did your mom put her hands on your dad? Or vice versa, did dad put his hands on your mom? The reason we have to think about that is because at the end of the day, it will tie into how we do the things that we do. It will tie into how we relate in our relationships, to our wife, to our girlfriend, to our family. We'll find that the things that we do are somehow connected to what we've learned in our environment. Is there mental violence in your environment? Mental violence, just as bad as physical violence. Mental violence is telling you, you ain't gonna never be nothing, you know, or telling you, you know, or somebody saying, or maybe you are the person that does this. I mean, this is time for us to be honest. Talking to your child saying, your daddy wasn't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing. Or talking to your child from a man perspective, your mama ain't nothing. I mean, that's what I'm talking about as far as mental violence, because that's just as bad as the physical stuff, because that even has a longer effect. See, when somebody hits you physically or cuts you or something like that, eventually you'll see that wound maybe heal, but that stuff that goes on mentally, that stuff may never heal. And in fact, the worst part of it is you don't even know it's still there because they're not telling you that. You know, every day they're not coming home saying, you know what, I'm still hurt about what you said. So that's why the mental violence is almost worse than physical violence. And then the last two, again, answer the question, is there exercise promoted in your environment and healthy eating? Why? Because that's going to deal with your health. All right, so let me do this as we conclude, because you know my whole point of doing this program is to make sure that we are dealing with some things in real life, right? So I don't know if you all saw that video that's been circulating over the last day or so on social media that happened at a hair salon. Did anybody see that by show of hands? No? Let me see. I'm gonna show you this video real quick, and then let's see if I can get it here. It's not a good one. But basically, the reason I'm gonna show this video, if I can send it to my computer real quick, is because it speaks to the whole point that we're talking about in regard to your environment, what it causes you to do, or maybe what it causes you not to do. Because sometimes in our environment, our silence, like you've been hearing with these protests, your silence or your inaction sometimes can be as harmful as some of the physical stuff that goes on. All right, so let me see if I can get this up real quick. Come on, in this shit. Now, let me make sure everybody's phone is muted. I think I hear somebody. There we go. All right, cool. All right, let me share this real quick, and this will be the last thing we're going to talk about for a second. All right, can you all see the desktop? Nicole, you can see it?
Yes, sir.
You can see the video over here in the corner?
Yeah, if you move your that thinking about your environment.
All right, let me move this over a little bit more. All right, can everybody see that? It's in the left corner. Say what?
Familiar with that video.
You are? Yeah, let me show this for those who haven't seen it. Scoot this over a little bit. All right, here you go.
She gave her So she gave her a total of $75. She over $75. You don't got that fire? Just don't get us you going where you going back because now things to me faithful like you don't got to money for me, but y'all not understanding services and everything and not that. Well, y'all should stop trying to protect her. She don't care about her own hair, her own ass, and she don't want to do the right thing. The right thing is the right thing. Somebody can't. Oh my God. I need her out. Like, I need her out.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video.
So what exactly was they fighting over?
So here's a couple things. And this is, I just got this point, so it wasn't in what I wanted to talk about that video because it's senseless. But basically, it seems like they were arguing over some type of service, right? Whether service was paid for, whether service was adequate, whether she owed her more money. And that happens. That happens in, you know, anywhere. But my point of showing the video and talking about the video is that it's the way that we deal with each other that determines, one, first of all, what level we are on as far as our thinking. And then one, obviously they're gonna be caught up in this legal system because of what happened. But the young lady ran over and hit the one young girl. That was one issue. And then the other one that's really important is that you notice that the person that was dragging her out or trying to was a man. So that goes to a whole nother level of thinking when we're talking about men. First of all, we all know, because we're in our chat, we're being honest, we all know that domestic violence happens all the time. And
Froze.
He's gonna sign back in, guys. Just give him a second. Judge, you're muted.
there you go. All right. So as I said before, when I first started this video, I think maybe our second one, the video went out right in the middle of me talking. And most of you, or who was there then, stayed in the video. So thank you for that. I'm not sure if Sam's been here for a while. I don't know if you caught that the first time when it happened. But anyway, I'm glad you're still here because we are going to wind down. Let me think, who's here? Trying to see. I know the one young man was here when that happened before. All right. So look, basically a couple things about that video that I want to note, and we can even talk about it maybe into next week when we find out about it. But a couple things is that, you know, the assault things, they got to quit happening in not only our community, but in the community in general. So the big issue that everybody's focusing on, not only is it that the young lady got jumped, but more so that a man got involved in it drug her out of the salon by her hair. And if you listen to the very end, her head gets slammed on something. I don't know if it's the door or the concrete, but the bottom line, it was crazy. But those are the things that we got to figure out, what our environment and how does the environment play into that. So in that environment, maybe should someone have joined in or helped out or stopped it? You know, was somebody close enough to the people that was involved to say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. We should be doing something else. I mean, that's what I'm talking about when we say our environment has to be analyzed, because either your environments are going to help you rise to the top or they're going to cause you to sink based on the decisions that you make. So I think everybody had a chance to screenshot the homeworks. So hopefully you did that, and basically send them to the email address. I think everybody has my email address, right? And my assistant? You should. All right. So make sure you're sending them.
With the bulletin points, right?
Yep, the ones with the bullets. So hopefully everybody got that. And Miss Miller, can you hear me? Did you email my assistant?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you do that, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on it, because I know you've been coming to the classes, but I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. All right. So
Okay.
ask her. And have you been sending me the emails too?
No.
Okay. So that's what you're gonna do. So
I don't know.
those, like for instance, those questions that I just put up for everybody, that's what I'm doing to verify the attendance. So when the class ends, you send the email like this one. I think I had 6 questions. I'll shoot them up again. And all you do is answer those questions in your own word, email it to me, and that's your attendance. That's the verification that you've been here. But let me put that up again real quick so everybody can see it, and I'll put up my email address. And hopefully I won't lose my internet again. All right, so there it is. That's the, those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. Screenshot it if you can so I can go to the next ones real quick. Those are the questions, and then we had some more. Remember, these were the other ones right here. What role does your environment play in your actions? What role does your environment play in your reactions? And what role does your environment play in your success? And then that's the information right there, the email address for me as well as Ms. Powell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful, powerful, I'll see you soon.
You have a good one.
All right, y'all take care.
Thank you, too.